All right. Here we are. We are back. As I said on the last episode, I wasn't sure when I'd see you guys again, but I think we're going to do kind of the sporadic thing. So if something comes up and I feel compelled to do something, then I'm going to hop on the stream and I'll take care of it. And, you know, a couple days ago, I was talking about a trade that went down. Here I am. I'm going to do a mock draft. I was just messing around on the app today, and I realized that I had that capability. So I figured, how about I hop on here and try it out? So here we are. We are doing my mock draft 1.0. As always, we are brought to you by our proud sponsors, Sundog Multimedia. Sundog is an online communication and social media company. What started as a personal tool has since evolved into something much bigger, allowing users to communicate, research, and discover things that impact their lives and daily decisions. Sundog will collaborate with you to build and execute a modern yet nimble social media strategy by utilizing innovative and traditional media principles. Sundog is a proud supporter of the Stop Soldier Suicide Foundation. You can follow them on Instagram at Sundog_multimedia. That is Instagram at Sundog_multimedia. Brains, brawn, and true professionalism. That's easy peasy moving and service. Muscle for hire, moving, assembly, errands, you name it, they will do it. Easy peasy is a multi-service team. If you need something, just ask. All right. I don't think there needs to be much of an introduction here. We're doing a mock draft. I'm going to go through, so I'm not going to do it like I'm not going to start the draft officially. I'm just going to place the players into the draft slots that I maybe predict them to go. Or I think this one, the path I'm going to take is I'm going to try and map out some strategy here, right? I'm going to try out some different things. So, it might be, what I think should happen. It might be what I think the team owner will do. It might be a mix of both. But I think this first one, I kind of want to take a more unconventional approach because I haven't done like an official mock. I was kind of skimming the draft board earlier this afternoon and saw some interesting things. So I want to try it out. I want to see how it looks. And maybe I can stir the pot up a bit. McMorrow, obviously, he has what? 9 first-round picks. He has 10 picks in the first 14. So I'm going to do at least the first round. We'll see how I feel after that. I definitely want to be free for the traders at 9. It is 8:06 as I say this right now. So I'm going to share my screen now, and then we can just kind of get into it. All right. We're good here. Everybody sees everything. All right. Let me pull up these sleeper rosters too, just so I can have something to refer to if I want to think things over. But all right, here we go. So we got this first string of picks from McMorrow. He's got the first 3. Then it's Amaral. Then McMorrow has 3 more. Then it's Wallace. And then McMorrow has the next 3. I did not realize until just now that he has 3 triplets of picks or whatever, just like that. So 3 in a row, and then Bowen rounds out the Zach Bowen. He rounds out the end of the first round with the 12th overall pick, which he just traded for. I think the first pick is a no-brainer. I'm going to go Ashton Ginty. I just think that he is one of the better running back prospects we've seen over the years. He's definitely up there. I'm not going to put him above everybody, but I think he's definitely up there with some of the, other guys coming in, the Bijan Robinsons. Personally, to me, the Jonathan Taylors, that was not consensus. If anything, a lot of people had him RB3, but I had him as RB1. In his class, but guys like that, even like the Melvin Gordons that came in, or things of that nature. But I think that this running back class, and we'll get more into it as we get further down the board, but I really think that this running back class has the potential to be special. I think that it's up there with the McCaffrey class, and then all that stuff. What is it, 2016, 2017, whenever those were. But I think it's up there with those running back classes where I think we can go 6, 7, even 8 deep, where I'd feel pretty confident that the guy's going to turn into a stud. And that's not even counting some of the guys that might be on the fringe of that. We're talking, I think there's a strong five. And then I think there are 3 or 4 more guys that you can really make an argument for to join them in that tier. So we'll talk more about those as we move further down. But I think that Jinty's just on like a whole nother level. I don't think it matters where he goes. I think whoever drafts him is drafting him to use him. We saw that he got the ball a ton in college, and that was a concern that Jonathan Taylor or people had for Jonathan Taylor coming in. Of course, Taylor has dealt with some injuries, but he has been unbelievable when he has played, and he's played in plenty of games over the years. He's not always missing half the season or missing full years or anything. He has put up some impressive fantasy seasons himself. So, Jinty to me is an absolute no-brainer. Moving to the next 2 picks, right? I think a lot of people would say McMorrow should go quarterback here. I don't think that he should. I think that this is where he needs to start looking at the strategy on the board, right? There's only 3 other people, and there's really only 2 other people that are picking before him at any point in this first round. So now you have to look at their needs because those are the only picks that people can trade into. So, you know, Wallace, I don't think needs a quarterback. He's picking back there at 8th. He has CJ Stroud. He has Bo Nix. He has Trevor Lawrence. I think that he has other positions of need that he should address. I don't think he's looking quarterback there. So that's 1 pick right there in these top 11 when you have 9 of them that is not going to go quarterback. Now you're going to look at Amaral. Let me pull up Amaral's roster just to be totally sure in what I'm saying. 1 second. Where is he? That's right. He's in my division. So Amaral, he's got Baker Mayfield. He's got Tua. After that, okay, it gets a little shaky on the bench with Aiden O'Connell, Spencer Rattler, Mason Rudolph, and Sam Howell. But he also has other needs, right? I mean, like he could be looking running back here. He has Chase Brown. He has Tyrone Tracy. Beyond that, he doesn't really have much. And then same with receiver. Of course, he has Malik Neighbors. I'm sorry, I did skip over Rico Dowdle, Tajay Spears. I don't think Dowdle, I don't think the future is too bright for Dowdle in terms of being a workhorse or anything like that. I mean, he had like a solid season when he really had the backfield to himself this year. And, it was just solid. I think that the Cowboys will be looking to upgrade somewhere at running back. I would not feel too confident moving forward with Rico Dowdle. And then Tajay Spears, like, I understand that people liked him in the rookie draft. I have not been big on him. I wasn't big on him in the pre-draft process. He had a bunch of knee concerns. That hasn't been too big of an issue so far in his career, but he hasn't really impressed me either. And, Tony Pollard, I know that he kind of has a stink on him. And, of course, I'm going to, prop up one of my own guys. But the guy did just have a 1,000-yard season. And he was clearly the workhorse in that backfield, even when Spears was healthy. So, of course, Pollard, he did start to get a little hurt. He had an ankle issue, further down the road, but and Spears was able to score some touchdowns there, but he really hasn't been great. He's not blown me away. So I think that Amaral has a bigger need at running back, and I think that he has a bigger need at wide receiver as well. He's got Malik Neighbors, but after that, it's Romeo Dobbs. He's got Ayuk on the IR coming back. Tank Dell, we do not know what his future's like. And then after that, it's A.D. Mitchell and Coleman. So I think that wide receiver is a much bigger concern for him there too. And I don't know. I talked to Amaral plenty, I feel. I don't know if he's crazy about these quarterbacks. I'm not sure. Maybe he loves Cam Ward. Maybe he loves Shedeur Sanders. I'm personally not over the moon about them. I saw what is it? The 39 team, whatever the hell they call it, whoever the Jets hired to kind of vet their candidates for the head coaching and GM search. 32nd team, whatever they call themselves. They made some comps to Sanders and Cam Ward today. Cam Ward, they said, reminded them of Sam Darnold, and Shedeur Sanders reminds them of Jared Goff. Darnold, I mean, yeah, I get it. He had a great year just now, but I mean, just kind of like a funny comp to make. I feel like it's not the sexiest comp you want to hear. I do think that Jared Goff is pretty fair for Shedeur Sanders. So, if you feel like, you really want to lock in a ceiling of Jared Goff, then, maybe you could go for it there. But I'm not crazy about these quarterback prospects. I don't know if Amaral is going there. I think that if he has his first pick of, his pick of the litter with the wide receivers, then he might, want to jump on that. Or I think that this running back class is that deep that he might just want to take one of those guys to kind of round out his running back room as well. But I think that's where McMorrow needs to think more about best player available and less about roster building, right? All these guys, so many of these running backs are going to be 21, 22 at the start of the season. So just because McMorrow's team is sort of, far away from contention as we know it now, that doesn't mean that he needs to, just draft quarterback, just draft receiver, because those are the positions that typically age better. I mean, we're seeing guys, Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon, Henry's 31, 32, Joe Mixon, he's pushing 30 right now. It feels like we're kind of kicking that reputation, the stigma on the old running backs. I think that these running backs are going to be able to play later in their careers as we progress, over the years. And I think we're starting to see kind of that shift right now. So, if we're talking about 21, 22-year-old running back, you have to assume that they're going to be good through their rookie contracts, especially guys at this caliber. So that's like 4 years, 5 years that we're talking about, depending on when they get drafted, if it's the first round or not. But I think you should just be going running back here. I think you need to cash in on this legendary running back class, load up, take as many as you want. And even if you can't put all of them in your starting lineup, I think that you should just take these guys and take the ones that I think will age the best. And those are the running backs here. So with these next two picks, I think McMorrow should go running back, running back. The first one to me, I think that should be Travion Henderson. I do think that he is right now. I'd probably rank him as the RB2 in the class. People are really high on Amarion Hampton. I think that him and Judkins are a little bit closer than they are right now in these rankings, but I think just for the sake of ADP right now, I'm gonna go Hampton here as well. So I think the just try and cock block anybody else, get all these running backs, figure out which ones are elite, and then if you have to assume that all these guys are going to be halfway decent at least. If you want to trade those guys, I mean, you can get a good haul for some league-winning running backs. So, I think you should just load up best player available. Fuck the roster building strategy. If you don't think that a quarterback is going to be like the cornerstone and the guy, don't just take a quarterback because you need a quarterback. There are going to be other guys next year. He has picks next year. You can wait. You can wait and just build the rest of that team and then insert whatever positions left when it's all said and done. So that right there, 3 running backs, just get ahead of it, right? So now we're moving on to Amaral. And like I said, if it played out like this, I think that he has his pick of the litter. I think he should just take wide receiver, right? So it's like, he has Chase Brown, he has Tyrone Tracy, he has his 2 starters there. He at least needs to get a little bit better and get a more confident second starter. That should be IU coming back, but he is coming off of the ACL. I think you should just take whoever you think is the best wide receiver prospect on the board here. Right now, I'm going to go with Tet McMillan. So he's obviously ranked much higher with his ADP, these rankings, but I do think that he's going to be the first receiver off the board as it stands right now. My take is that I don't think a wide receiver is going to go in the top 10 of the NFL draft this year. It feels like the mock drafts that I've seen are starting to kind of catch up to that as well. It feels like it's going to play out a little bit more like that JSN Addison QJ class where, maybe it doesn't go all the way into the 20s, but I think with that back half of the second round, at least, a few picks into the teens is when we'll probably start seeing the wide receivers go off the board. So I think Tet McMillan right now is the worthy wide receiver 1 in the class. I see the Drake London comparisons. I see the Mike Evans comparison, which is, that's a comparison that Drake London himself got. I will say, look at Drake London's final game log from his final year at USC. Just put a little bit more respect when we're talking about comps, okay? Tet McMillan was great, in a much weaker schedule, and I understand that his quarterback was shit. But Drake London was unbelievable in the first 8 games, I believe he played, and then he broke his ankle. But even in the game he broke his ankle, he had like 80 yards, but he had 100 yards in pretty much every single game that final season. So, there's levels to it. All right, now we're at McMorrow again. And like I said, I don't think that Wallace is going quarterback here. If you don't take a quarterback, that definitely opens up the possibility that somebody trades in and maybe Wallace can get a little bit more of a haul than he thought he could at 1-8. But I don't love the quarterbacks like that. I don't know if I'm taking that risk. So I think you need to go at least one more here. I keep doing that. I'm going to go with Judkins. And then that's where, it kind of comes into play. So he already has these 4. He has Bucky Irving. Now he does need other positions. Is that where he wants to just take the next two wide receivers and then, potentially not get Caleb Johnson or any of these other guys? Does he want to take the quarterback here? Does he want to go tight end with Tyler Warren? I think maybe this is where I like these two wide receivers remaining on the board. I think this is maybe where you want to take them and try to round out your roster just a little bit. It's not a deep wide receiver class, so I feel like you might as well take the last two guys that I think are in that top tier. Of course, we'll see where Travis Hunter declares. I do get the feeling that he's going to be more cornerback and then sub in on certain packages. I don't think he's going to be worth really taking this high in the rookie draft right now. We'll see what he declares as. We'll see what he wants to play as his primary. But right now, I'm not going to put Hunter in that tier yet. I think that this is where McMorrow should just take advantage and say, you know what, I want to try and get, sort of a monopoly and then just corner the market on these receivers. I think you should go receiver. So Egbuka, I'm going to go. And then that's where we get to Wallace, right? This is Wallace's pick at 8. It's interesting. I'm looking at it. Like I said, I'm not seeing quarterback. I get it. I could see him maybe going Tyler Warren, but he does have Hawkinson. I know Hawkinson wasn't great last year, but he was coming back from that injury. Was that an ACL that he tore? I don't think that that's the pick for him. I think that he should probably go Caleb Johnson. I know that his running backs are still pretty good, right? He's got Derrick Henry. He's got Breece Hall, but of course, Henry, he's going to continue to get older. I think he's going to age well, but you don't want to just rely on that. He's a 31, 32-year-old running back. Breece Hall obviously had a down year, but I think he's going to bounce back. I think Pacheco is more of the concern. Let me see. Let me just pull up Walls. There's definitely – I'm a dummy. James Cook, Ken Walker. There are those guys there, but I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at it. He's not going to go wide receiver here. I don't think he should. Not until, not unless somebody shoots up the draft board. I'm going to go Caleb Johnson. I think that in this position, with the way that this is mocking, I think we should take one more of those. Like I said, there's definitely 5 that I put in that elite tier when it comes to running back. But I think that he should take the last of those guys. Get somebody to invest in for the future. He doesn't need to start for you right away. But I think that that's the pick right there. I think that that's kind of how it should shape up. Now, this is where it really plays into McMorrow's hand, right? Because now he can take those 2 quarterbacks, no problem. I think that's kind of genius. But this is also where we could look to shop around. I mean, people might all of a sudden say, holy shit, I only have to trade up 4 or 5 picks if I want to get a quarterback now. I think this is where he should look to shop. He can charge a little bit of a premium and say, I mean, hey, this guy easily could have gone 1-1. I had it. I played it this way. Now, if you want to get him, you have to, maybe trade a little bit more than you normally would to get the 9th pick, the 10th pick, the 11th pick. I think you should make who he wants first. I think he definitely should take Tyler Warren. I think that's a no. So he's got 4 running backs. He's got 2 receivers. Now he's got his tight end. Now, if he wants to, he can take these quarterbacks. And I think with how it's sitting right now, I mean, Hunter could be an interesting option. He could definitely be an interesting option. I think you should take the 2 quarterbacks. And when I put it this way, this is kind of an unbelievable draft. I need to write this down on a card real quick. Hold on. Okay, so now he's looking at a starting lineup of, hold on, QB, RB, wide receiver, tight end, flex, super flex. All right. So he's got his 2 quarterbacks. He's got Ward, Sanders. He's got Warren at the tight end. All right. He has Josh Downs on his team. Let me just make sure. He doesn't have many worthy players to bring it up, but let me just make sure I'm not missing anybody. So he's got Josh Downs, but I still think that right now I'd go Egbuka, Burden. Okay. Running backs, we'll go Ginty. We'll go Henderson. We'll go Hampton. And we'll go Judkins. I mean, that right there is a starting lineup. Can I see it? Let's see. I mean, are you kidding me? Kidding me right now? You're telling me that McMorrow shouldn't do this? Cam Ward, Ginty Henderson, Egbuka, Luther Burden, Tyler Warren, Hampton, Judkins, Shadur Sanders. That right there is a starting lineup. That doesn't even factor in Bucky Irving or Josh Downs. Tank Bigsby could be interesting. It's mostly it. I mean, Jalen Coker, Dontavian Wicks. But, I mean, that's a starting lineup right there. You can play right there. Why put it up? I understand the numbers game here. I get it. What are the odds that all of these guys hit? But guess what? You still have the second pick of the second round and the fifth pick. You have 1, 2, 4, 7, 9 in the third round. And then next year you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 first round picks. So if these guys don't hit, you can roll the dice again. I mean, some of these guys are going to hit. Some of these guys right here, and we haven't even finished your draft, are going to hit. I think that this is a good first round. I know that people are maybe down on this rookie draft compared to the years past. This is a pretty good first round right here. I talked about it when I did the episode on the trade. But, I mean, any of these 12 picks, you're guaranteed to get a good prospect. Obviously, you want to be higher up so you can get the one of your choosing. But even if you're at 12, you're going to be getting a pretty good player falling into your lap. This right here fills out his lineup. He still has Bucky Irving, who just finished. What did he just finish? RB 14, and that was with a later start to the season. You still got Josh Downs, who he finished wide receiver, in the late 30s, but he did miss a few games. I mean, he's been great when he played. That's a bench right there. And you got second round picks. This is unbelievable. I think that this is the strategy that McMorrow should take. To me, there is no reason for him to take one of those quarterbacks early just because that's where they're maybe ranked in the consensus. This is not a normal draft, right? You have 9 of these picks. You're picking in groups of 3 with 2 guys picking in between, and one of them doesn't need a quarterback at all. I would roll the dice on Amaral here, taking something else, because I do think that he has other positions of need that he should address, because he doesn't pick again until the third pick in the second round. I think this is what he needs to do. But that's just my opinion. You can play it different. You're going to come across as a little bit of a troll if you let Ward and Sanders fall all the way to 10 and 11. But guess what? If they pan out, you can also just brag about it and say, look at where I drafted these guys. I can't believe you let them fall to me at 10 and 11. So I think that this is the strategy that he should take. I'm going to go back to the queue. We got to finish this first round. We got Bowen here. This is where it's interesting, right? Because I know the Zits. I feel like I know them well. I feel like of all teams in this league, I probably know them better than most. Just because we came up together. Iron sharpens iron, deep in Simcoe's basement. Just the 3 of us talking ball. I know how these guys think. I think he's going to like a flashy player like Travis Hunter. He wants a face of his franchise, and he could groom him to be the next one. But I'm also looking at it, and I'm saying, I think he feels like he has a need at tight end. He's not crazy about Kincaid. Freiermuth, he's, I think, very solid, but I think that he's like a Hunter Henry guy, right? And there's value in just getting the consistency that Hunter Henry can bring you. But there's also limited upside. I mean, realistically, you're relying on like a huge touchdown season, for anything to be worth it. You want to take more of an upside play. Right now, because I think it's leaning more that Travis Hunter is going to be cornerback primary and then sub in a little bit at wide receiver, I think that he should go Loveland here. I think he should go Colson Loveland. I've seen that some people might have him as a top tight end. I think that he could be a first round tight end. Of course, if he goes a little bit later in the first round, he might end up on a better team. So I do think that that could help boost his draft stock a little bit as well. So I'm going to go a little bit on team need here. Right, let me pull up the zits. Let me make sure. Let me get my eyes on them real quick, just to, make sure I'm not looking over some glaring blind spots. I mean, okay, yeah, I'd go tight end here. You can only make one pick. Of course, I think he wants to, address any position if he feels like he can get a good player. But I think when we're looking at straight position of need, I think he's totally fine at running back right now with Barkley and Jacobs and Monty and Trey Benson, waiting in the wing, possibly. I don't know if quarterback's the play here. I don't think that Dart or Milrow are really that's not the pick. I mean, come on. Let's not be ridiculous here. And then wide receiver, I just feel like if it drops off. If Travis Hunter is going to be a primary wide receiver, then that does change things. I think maybe Hunter's the pick there, but until we get more clarity on that, I think that going with Loveland, he's another top tight end prospect. Like I said, I think he could be a first round in the NFL draft type of pick as well. So I think that he's going to get a little boost there. So I'm going to go Loveland here and just round out that starting lineup for the Zits. Now the question is, do I want to do a whole second round? Let me count this real quick. Fuck it. Fuck it. Fuck it. Yeah, we'll do it. Okay. All right. 2 pins. What do they need? They got old receivers besides Jamar Chase. They got dog shit running backs. They're good at quarterback. I mean, they could look to trade those quarterbacks if they want to really get, a massive haul between Mahomes and Jaden Daniels and Michael Penix. But I do think that that's a good stable right there. No need to mess with it. No need to mess with it. I don't think it's even worth tearing down or anything like that. Just stick with what you got. If things get desperate, that's like a break in case of emergency thing. You can trade one of those guys. But I don't think so. I think we're looking at running back. I think we're looking at wide receiver here. I don't think that the other tight ends quite warrant being picked here. I'm going to go Devin Neal. I think that that's a really good running back prospect here. He's one of those guys, like I said, I think that he has a good argument to join these guys and make it a top 6. Like I said, I think that can balloon up to top 8, 9, maybe 10. So I just think that these running backs are the prize of the draft. I'm not crazy about these wide receivers right now. So I think you just got to take the best players available. Don't just take guys because you have a need and those are the best ones available. If they're not great, if they're not up there and worthy of being used here, then just take the best player. So I'm going to go with Devin Neal. Now we go to McMorrow. Fuck it, just take Travis Hunter. Right at this point, he's fallen far enough. You never know. Maybe he converts at some time. You've already filled out your starting lineup. You might as well now at this point. That's a value pick. He can just sit on your bench for now. And then, like I said, that's a face of the franchise guy. So just take Travis Hunter now. I don't want to drop him too far because if I just keep using the whole we don't know what he's going to play thing, I could justify him going all the way to the 3rd, 4th round. So I think that at some point the bleeding is going to stop there. McMorrow's already had so many picks, and I'm not totally blown away by the draft board right now. I'd say you just got to take Travis Hunter there. Okay, now we're on Amaral. He picks at the 3rd pick here. He also picks 4 more later. What are we thinking? I think he should. I'm going to go a little off the beaten path here. I think he should now go running back, right? Because he's got Tet, he has Neighbors, he has IU coming back. That's 3 right there. I'm going to go a running back prospect that I like a little bit more, and I actually think he should be higher up the board. Personally, I might even have him as my RB6. I'm going to go with Dylan Sampson coming out of Tennessee. I think he's really good. I think that he's a guy that he's going to become a little bit more popular. Of course, I was big on Jalen Wright going into last year, and he rose up the board a little bit, and he ended up in a good situation. He didn't play much last year in Miami, but he is still, in a decent spot, especially, I mean, for what it's worth, Raheem Mostert did just get cut, or he is a cut candidate. So I think that's, I think that going with the Tennessee guys here, I think that's a good running back. I think you should kind of trust that mold right now. And I think he's going to go to a decent spot. I think he's going to have decent draft capital. So Amaral, he gets himself a wide receiver. He gets himself a running back. He continues to work on that starting lineup. Obviously, he's pretty solid at quarterback right now. Baker is an MVP candidate. Dark horse outside, you can get like a third, fourth, fifth place vote. So I guess not a serious candidate, but that's like a top 5 fantasy quarterback right there. And then Tua, when he plays, when he's not recovering from a concussion or when he's not dying on the ground, that's a good fantasy quarterback as well. So I don't think you need to press it for quarterback here. Jackson Dart, Jalen Milrow, no, not right now. Okay. So, if you love one of these wide receivers, do it. But I think that these running backs, like I said, are still a prize. So I'm going to stick with that. Now we're at, Amaral picks again. What are we looking at here? Okay. I'm going to go Isaiah Bond. I'm looking at who's here. I'm looking at who jumps off the page. I think Isaiah Bond is the guy. And, we saw with the Texas wide receivers this year, right? Obviously, Xavier Worthy, he was, effective from the start, but he really broke out at the end of the season, sort of similar to how Rashee Rice was getting used at the end of his rookie year. I know Golden, I think that he's the guy a lot of people are looking at when we're talking, Texas guys and everything. But I don't know. I just have a weird feeling that Isaiah Bond, I think he's the guy. He's got the good name, too. Matthew Golden's a good name as well. But all right, now we're at McMorrow again. Now it's sort of like an embarrassment of riches. Like, what does he have? He can kind of pick anything now. It's easy to get a little complacent, easy to get a little lazy. He's made so many picks at this point in the draft. Maybe he's getting a little fatigued from that. Let me see, because, maybe it's not always updated here. Who would I go? Well, at this point, I think you got to go Jackson Dart. There's talks of him, maybe being, shooting up the boards, maybe being a top 15 pick. I don't know if he's necessarily worthy of that. I mean, I know that some of these teams can get desperate and they can make it, but I think that if somebody is going like that, even if he's a first round guy, even if it's at the end of the first round, you might as well just take another, dart throw on a guy here, especially if he's going to get a chance to start, if there's some sort of clear pathway. So, if he's drafted even to like a team like Seattle, which I've seen in the past, where Geno's definitely going to start this year, but, it seems like he's clearly the succession plan. At this point, just take the quarterback. All right. Now we're on Frank. Frank needs a little bit of everything too, right? Let's see. Let me look at this roster. Let's see. How can I fix this team? He's got May. He's got McCarthy. So I'm going to rule out the quarterback here. I think he's going to feel pretty confident in that. Okay. You could definitely use receiver. Who do we got? I'm going to go Trey Harris. Just go the highest receiver on the board right now. I do think that it's a coin flip between him and Golden. So, I was debating Bond or Golden for Amaral earlier, and now look at this. Okay. Now he has an opportunity. That's 3 guys that join the 2 really good guys that he already has. That gives him 5 receivers if they do pan out, of course. We never know with any of these guys, but I think that's a good way to address most of his needs. I think that really rounds things out. He can kind of give himself a little bit of a rotation now and give himself more breathing room. That was kind of his downfall last year, was that he just didn't have the depth to really keep up. So, that's kind of Amaral just filling out the rest of his team there. I think that would be the right pick. Of course, it comes down to everybody's pick or choice and receiver. But yeah, I think that's the move. Now we got Wallace here picking at 8. I'll go Ollie Gordon. I'll go running back for Wallace. Have the opportunity. It's kind of like pitchers, right? You can never have enough arms. You can never have enough guys that eat up innings. Running backs, they can get hurt. They can age quicker than most positions. Just because you have it good now, doesn't mean you're going to have it good forever. Of course, like I said, Henry and Cook and Walker and Brees Hall, and this mock has already added Caleb Johnson. Why not at this point just add Ollie Gordon? I'm not loving the guys right here. Restrepo. I'm not even going to try and pronounce it. A.O. Manor. I don't even know who that is. I'm going to be honest. I know who everybody else is here. I have never heard of that guy in my life. Um, my apologies. That's my bad. I say go Caleb Johnson, go Ollie Gordon, just take those chances at running back because you don't know what's going to hit. You don't know what could pop up or who could get hurt, who could, age quickly, who could fall off. I mean, Brees Hall, he's had 2 down years. People are optimistic with him stepping into this new system and everything, but we'll see. I mean, he has to go out and he has to prove that. So, all right, now we have, what are these numbers next to all this shit? What does that mean? Now we have the Cucks. They have 3 of the last 4 picks here. I mean, they're all right. They're all right at quarterback. They got Jordan Love and they got Brock Purdy. I feel like there's not too much of a concern there. I don't know if Milrow or Ewers are really the picks there. I know that they wanted to get younger at wide receiver, so they traded for a 30-year-old wide receiver. They traded that last pick of the first round for a 30-year-old receiver to get younger at the position. But all right, where are the Cucks? Where can I find them? I mean, running back, they're old at running back, right? McCaffrey, Chubb, and Jones, and James Conner. They got AJ Brown, they got McLaurin. Sutton's really good. Obviously, with Debo and Devontae, we'll see what the future holds for them. But I mean, that's a solid receiver core. I mean, tight end could definitely use a little bit of love. Is that the pick there, though? They got 3 of these things. I'm going to go Scattaboo. I'm going to go Restrepo. Right, that's is that Iowa State? Am I thinking of the right guy? Now we're on Frank. Who did I just have Frank taken? Yeah, okay. See, if I'm Frank, and here's a nickel's worth of free advice, I'm taking Milrow here. This is kind of the same position that Jalen Hurts was in, and you can feel. I do think that Jalen Hurts was a bit of a better college quarterback than Jalen Milrow. I actually think a good bit, but if Milrow ends up in a pretty decent position, he can be. I mean, even if he ends up being like Justin Fields, I think that that's worth taking at this spot in the draft, right? You have your 2 quarterbacks, Drake May and JJ McCarthy. May hasn't played a full season yet. I'm very hopeful and optimistic that he's going to be good and great. JJ McCarthy, I think that he's going to be good and great, but he has not even played a legit NFL snap yet. I think I would take a chance on Jalen Milrow here. You don't know with those legs. Pause. And we saw he looked really good at times at Alabama. If he can clean it up and kind of become, even a Jalen Hurts light. But I mean, think about what Jalen Hurts started off as. I mean, think about what Jalen Hurts is now. I mean, there's arguments about is he an elite quarterback and all that stuff. And I mean, I do think that he should be getting more credit than he's currently receiving online. I mean, do I think he's like the best quarterback in the league? Of course not. But he's a good quarterback that can deliver the ball where it needs to be. He's great with his legs. He's unstoppable with the tush push. Those are things that are true about him right now. So I think he deserves more respect. And I think that if Milrow can kind of carve out a role somewhere in between that and Justin Fields, who, has been bouncing around, but he's been, effective fantasy-wise when he plays, I think that that's a good pick right there. I think that that's what a late second rounder should be used for. And all right, we're going to round out the second round. I am not doing a third round. You're fucking nuts if you think I'm going to do that shit. I'm going to do just 2 rounds for now. Maybe the next time I do the third round, but I'm going to go tight end here. I think that the Cucks, they feel desperate for tight end. I mean, obviously not desperate enough. They would rather do other things with their first round pick, like trade for a 30-year-old receiver who scores the same amount of points per week as the top tight end in the league, and there's way more of a disparity at the position. But they can address tight end here. I would go Harold Fannin. what was he? Bowling Green. He's a MAC guy. Obviously, there are going to be questions about the level of competition that he has faced, but he smashes every metric in terms of like production and breakout age and all that stuff. He's big. He's a beast, and he's fucking nasty. He just went off last year. So I mean, I think if we're talking about another second round, he can definitely do much worse. And if we're looking tight end, which I do think is a good position of need for them, I think he is by far the best available. I think that he's worthy of going much higher than this. We'll see how things go after the combine, and then of course after the NFL draft. But all right, that wraps up the first 2 rounds of my mock draft. I think the next time I do it, I'm going to start over. It's not like I'm going to pick it up from the 3rd round, but I mean, it was good to get my reps in here, get 2 rounds. So I'm saying maybe the next one, maybe I do make it a 3-round draft, and then eventually maybe I do a 4-round draft or something. But there we go. 42 minutes. How about that? We're going to call it there. Thank you for tuning in. Sound off in the comments. McMorrow, some of the big board. Let me see. Let's talk. Let's compare notes. Let's see how it goes. I just think that I turned McMorrow's entire franchise around with this mock draft. I think that people are going to look back at this and say, "Holy shit!" I think that when the world eventually blows up and they find different things and they find my hard drives, I mean, they're going to have to get through some terabytes of some nasty stuff first. But when they eventually get to the fantasy football things, I think they're going to look and say, "Holy shit! Like this guy was a prophet." And maybe in the next generation, the next society, the next whatever we have, I think that they will worship me as a fantasy god for how I just mocked this first round for a team that has 9 of the first 11 picks. That is something they will never forget. So we will leave it at that. We'll see when mock draft 2.0 comes out. That's probably going to be after the combine. The combine's in a couple weeks. Once I get a little bit more info on that and see how the board starts to shape up from there, I'll probably do another mock draft. But all right, let's leave it at that. Thank you, Sundog. Thank you, Easy Peasy Moving and Service. Thank you, Easy Solar. We will see you on the next stream.